G'day amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new exciting Doctor Who topic video for today. And of course, welcome to Paul Who, the channel where you'll get to see an idiot like me obsessed with my favourite TV show of all time, Doctor Who. I can rewatch Doctor Who all year round. In fact, I do anyway. So, I've been talking to quite a few Doctor Who fans today through social media, and as we were talking, we were all talking about our favourite stories from a recurring villain. And then they asked me what mine is, and they said to me, actually, no, don't write it to us. Please, can you do it a YouTube video telling us about your favourite Doctor Who monsters to have a recurring sort of role and what my favourite story is for them. So that's what this video is kind of about. My 10 favourite Doctor Who stories from a recurring villain. So, when I've seen a recurring villain, I mean recurring villains like Daleks, Cybermen, the Master, Santarins, Zygons and all that. And I just really do enjoy every single version of these characters on these villains. Like with the Santarins, we had Commander Lynx, or General Stahl, or basically Commander Steyr, and really like Commander Steyr, Group Marshal Steyr of the 10th Santarin Battle Fleet. But we do have some stories I absolutely love, and I couldn't really say for all of the recurring villains, because since at this point in 2024, we've had so many recurring villains to return from the classic era into the modern era. So here are my 10 favourite Doctor Who stories from a recurring villain. So I had to say this one. So diving into number 10. Now for number 10, some people will probably want to kill me for not putting these into number 1, but my number 1 spot is my number 1 spot. So, number 10, the Weaping Angels. Oh, yes, of course, I had to go with the Weaping Angels. They have been recurring since 2007 to 2022. And, of course, they have basically appeared in the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th Doctor series, even though mainly the 12th Doctor was kind of a bit of a cameo, but they still kind of count because you do see them on screen with the 12th Doctor. He never actually fought against the 12th Doctor, but they still had a cameo appearance. And of course, they did have a cameo appearance in the 13th Doctor era, and then of course they did return and basically turn the 13th Doctor into a Weeping Angel. But my favourite episode or story for the Weeping Angels has got to be the two-parter Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. Now, the reason this is honestly my favourite story for the Weaping Angels is because it is terrifying. It's gruesome. It's got some core elements that are just so brilliant. And this is actually my favourite story from Series 5. I love this Weaping Angel two-parter. Don't get me wrong, it is just absolutely amazing. It's creepiness. This is when Doctor Who does horror in the modern era. Now, Doctor Who has tried doing a bit of horror in some episodes and some eras, like in Crystal Eccleston with The Empty Child, and of course Silence of the Labyrinth and Forest of the Dead. But they haven't done it to this level, this pure, amazing level of pure horrorcism, meaning only 3 people out of the whole cast survive at the end of the story, which is just so great, and how gruesome it is. It really reminds me so much of like Horror at Fang Rock for Tom Baker, where that story only has the Doctor and Leela surviving. Out of everybody in the cast just dies because of the return. But this Weeping Angel two-parter is fantastic. Weeping Angels, as we all know, Weeping Angels, once they're a statue, they can't move. Now people go, oh, but Weeping Angels only set people back in time. Yes, they can do that, but these Weeping Angels, oh, these Weeping Angels are so good. Remember, an image of an angel becomes itself an angel. And of course it goes into Amy's eyes because she looked for the eyes on the screen. And basically she ends up counting down to her death. We have a Weeping Angel killing soldiers, ripping open a person's voice box, aka Sergeant Soldier Bob, and of course they rip open his voice box and they use his voice box to communicate with the Doctor, leading the Doctor towards the end of the Time of Angels at the end of the first part, pointing a gun and saying, if there's one thing if you're ever smart, there's one thing you never ever put in a trap. What's that, sir? Me. Like that. And then of course they do go more gruesome because they do end up killing people. I mean, that fantastic the leader of the soldiers, I can't remember his name, where literally Weeping Angel grabs him by the neck and he goes, I'm dead, sir. And then of course when the Doctor closes the door, you hear the Weeping Angel just snap his neck in half. Oh my god, this is just a fantastic two-parter for the Weeping Angels. They are so horrifying in this story. They've not been at this level ever since 2010, and they need to get back to this level. They need to go back snapping people's necks open, making a point, killing people, using their voice boxes. It's just so good. I have to say, I really do love that two-parter. It really is. Number 9. The Sea Devils. Now, I wasn't really going to include the Sea Devils in this, considering that only appeared in 2 classic Who stories, but they have returned in the 13th Doctor series, and of course we have got them returning in the new spin-off, aka The War Between the Land and the Sea, with Unit. So my favourite Sea Devil episode is got to go to the Sea Devils. This story is honestly my favourite John Pertwee season, filmed down in Portsmouth at the old naval base. And Plymouth, round about Portsmouth, Plymouth, I think. I absolutely just love the filming location work for this story. The Sea Devils are just so good. This is our planet. And the fact they literally put the Master in his box because the Master's trying to manipulate them to destroy the humans, where the Doctor's trying to make peace with the Sea Devils. A bit like as we see for the 3rd Doctor do for the Silurians. You got the 5th Doctor try to do with the 2 of them in Warriors of the Deep, and then of course the 11th Doctor tries it a bit later on as well. But I just absolutely love the Sea Devils. Now, this is honestly the best outing for the Sea Devils. Warriors of the Deep is a kind of a mishmash sort of story. I do quite enjoy it. I do like it over the Twin Dilemma, but I still pretty much enjoy it. And then of course we have Legend of the Sea Devils for the 13th Doctor, and there's a reason I still enjoy that, is because the Sea Devils are one of my favourite villains. They're one of my favourite alien, well, kind of monster design for Doctor Who. And I absolutely love the fact that they'd return, and I'm really quite looking forward to seeing them return in the War Between the Land and the Sea. Not many people are quite looking forward to that spin-off, but anything with the Sea Devils in it, I'm the person for them. I mean, I'm really looking forward to watching it and seeing the return of the Sea Devils once again. Hopefully they're done a lot properly. But yeah, I had to put number 9, the Sea Devils, for the Sea Devils. Number 8. So the 8th villain I'm going to have to talk about is, of course, the Zygons. Now, the Zygons only made one classic Doctor Who appearance, and that's, of course, in 1975's Terror of the Zygons. But they did return in the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor, and, of course, they have returned in Series 9, aka Season 35, and, of course, the Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion. And they haven't really been seen since that 2-parter. So for the Zygons, even though I can actually class them as a recurring villain because they've literally made like 2 appearances in Modern Who and 1 appearance in Classic Who, so I'm going to have to go with them for the very first outing in Terror of the Zygons from 1975, starring Tom Baker. Now, this is the opening story to Season 13. Originally, it was supposed to be for Season 12, but they kind of had to move it back to the beginning episode of Season 13. And this is honestly the best appearance of the Zygons. It makes them more menacing. It makes them a bit like spies, really, when they're literally watching through the little bug of the horse eyes, which is just flat out amazing. And of course, they get to see what the Doctor was thinking with the Brigadier. And of course, they do ship shape, because they are a little bit of shapers. They do ship shape into Harry Sullivan and basically try to manipulate Harry and turn against Sarah until basically it ends up falling out of the barn and die, one of them. The leader of that group of Zygons was actually called Broton, and of course we do see the Skeletor, aka the Loch Ness Monster. So yeah, I really do love this story. They are very, very menacing. I love the fact when they kidnap the Doctor where they go, make one move and the Doctor dies. And I love the fact when you kind of got the 4th Doctor touching one tentacle thing at one side, and then of course he's there touching the other tentacle thing, and he's literally there sending a kind of a beacon so Unit can find them. And I just really love the fact that the Doctor did that, even though it was in so much pain, so you could tell by his face going, ah, like that. I just really love that. I really do love the scene, and I just absolutely love the story. And I love the fact that the Doctor sets the Zygon ship into self-destruct. Well, Brigadier, is that enough of a bang for you? I love it. I really do love Terror of the Zygons. It's honestly such a good story, and I had to put it for the Zygons. Number 7. So in 7th place, we have another Doctor Who recurring villain who have not made a return since 2010, but they have returned quite a few times in Doctor Who's history, like in 1970, 1971, 2005, and of course 2010. So they are technically a recurring villain. And it is The Autons. Yes, the nesting consciousness controlled of the Autons. And I absolutely love the Autons. The fact, window shop dummies that come to life. I can still walk past shops like now, walking around Shrewsbury, Telford, Birmingham, like Solihull or the city centre of Birmingham. And I walk across some shops and you see window shop dummies. I still stop and stare at them going, is that secretly an Auton? It's the Doctor Who mind of me. If you make something scary and terrifying, if you're going to see it in shops, window shop dummies, I'm ultimately going to think it's an Auton. I honestly am. And I really love the Autons. So my favourite Auton story has got to go to Spare Ahead from Space. Their outing for Doctor Who. And of course, it is another Jon Pertwee story. So in this list, we've had 2 Jon Pertwee stories so far. I absolutely love this story for the fantastic Autons. The nesting consciousness, I love the control pods. I love the fact how the Doctor kind of arrives in the middle of a meteorite shower when it's basically the control pods. And of course, when the TARDIS materializes, the third Doctor does fall out. I love the fact we have the little rabbit poacher, or the hunter, the poacher, whatever people like to call him, where he literally picks up one of them. Ah, you're looking for one of those fireballs, are you? I can't do the accents. That's me trying to do the accent of Sam. Ah, you're looking for those fireballs, are you? I did not say that. I do not know where they are. You know, like that. And of course, he does tell you that's where it is. And I absolutely love it. I really do love this story. It's just fantastic and amazing and just pure amazing. And Jon Pertwee's brilliant. I love the ending. Oh, I don't even know your name. What is it? Smith. Dr. John Smith. Yeah, you know, it's the first the Doctor used John Smith's name. I think the second Doctor used it, something like that. I think this is the first or second time. But I absolutely love this story, and it's such a great outing for the Autons, where you literally see them come to life, smash through the shops, walking around the streets of London, and you literally see a policeman running up because he heard the glass smash, and the horror in his face was like, and he goes, I just absolutely genuinely love it. It's such a good story, it really is. And it never gets old. I always rewatch it. It's just superb. Number 6. So the 6th recurring villain I had to put is, of course, the Great Intelligence. Now, the Great Intelligence made a debut back in 1967, 1968 in Doctor Who and the Abominable Snowman. And of course, it made a return in the Web of Fear. And of course, it did return in the modern era in the 11th Doctor's era for the Snowman, the Bells of St. John, and the Name of the Doctor. So I've had 5 recurring roles in the universe of Doctor Who. 2 with Patrick Troughton and 3 with Matt Smith. And I'm going to have to say my favourite story for the Great Intelligence has got to go to the Web of Fear, which is honestly the best story, I think, for the Great Intelligence. Even though the Snowman nearly beat it out the park. If you'd have asked me this around about 2013, 2014, if I started the channel back then, I would have probably said the Snowman's my favourite Great Intelligence story. But going back and rewatching the Web of Fear over and over and over and over again, over basically since 2020, 2021, where the special edition came out, I absolutely love it. I don't mind the 3D animation. It is very off-putting, but it's still quite enjoyable to watch it. I prefer animations over telesnap reconstructions, and I'm sorry to say that. But I just absolutely, genuinely, just flat out love the Web of Fear, because one, when the Doctor's trying to get the Great Intelligence to go into like his brain, so the Doctor can try and do his fantastic stuff until basically he's stopped by Jamie, and of course I love the Robot Yetis. The Robot Yetis. The Snowmen and the Whispermen, they're okay, but the Yetis are the icing on the cake. I just love that sound. Beep, 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 beep. I really love the Robot Yetis. I love that scene as well with Unit, where they're literally firing through the streets of London, where the Yetis are literally just walking and coming to life after them. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I had to put the Web of the Great Intelligence in 6th place. So, number 5. So in 5th place, I had to put the Santarins. Yeah, the Santarins in 5th place. Now, the reason I've had to put the baked spuds of the universe of Doctor Who is because I just absolutely love them. They are the fantastic warrior race. Even though they are a cloned race, and a very, very much of a cloned race, and the fact they can literally reproduce themselves and basically go to war against the Autons. Now, the Santarins have basically made a appearance quite a few times in Doctor Who's history, considering they appeared in Time Warrior, the Santarin Experiment, the Invasion of Time, the two Doctors, the Santarin Stratagem and Poison Sky, and of course Strax in the Matt Smith era, and of course more recently in War of the Santarins, the Halloween Apocalypse, and of course Survivors of the Flux and the final episode, which I can't absolutely remember from the top of my head at the moment. But the Santarins, what is my favourite story of them? Well, it's got to be, and I'm going to have to say this with a pinch of salt, some people probably look at me like, what? But my favourite story for the Santarins has got to go to the Invasion of Time. And you're probably dropping all your plates and stuff like, what? Now, there is a reason why this is honestly my favourite Santarin story. It's because, one, they are absolutely the first Doctor Who monsters to invade Gallifrey. Yes, okay, we had the Fardons, but the Fardons didn't really make an appearance until that story. But when you get to the end of part 4 and you just see the group of Santarins basically walking down the steps of the fantastic Time Lord Chamber, not the Time Lord Chamber, the Panopticon, where they're literally walking down and they go, who is Doctor? Like that. And of course, I am just the Lord President of Gallifrey. I just really love the fact they literally make an appearance in episode 4, and then the last 2 episodes of that story is the Santarins is basically going through the TARDIS tracing after the Doctor, Leela, Brusilo and all that. But I just absolutely love them because it means the Santarins invaded Gallifrey way before the Daleks invaded Gallifrey. And that's actually quite good, because the Daleks are the best villains of the Doctor Who universe that get for the Time Lords. But they literally miss out invading Gallifrey, making the Santarins be the first kind of Doctor Who villains to return, a recurring villain to invade Gallifrey, which is absolutely brilliant, because the Time War should have been between the Time Lords and the Santarins, technically. It's what I think it should have been. But yeah, I absolutely love the Santarins. They are absolutely a fantastic warrior race. I love the Invasion of Time. It does get a really bad representation out there in the Who, out of us Doctor Who fans. I don't get why. I have seen people do reviews on it. I've literally done my review on it saying, is the Invasion of Time really that bad? And it's not. I actually still quite enjoy the story. And the fact it's literally on Blu-ray right now, my love for it has really grown a hell of a lot for it since I've rewatched season 15 at the beginning of the year. But I absolutely love it, so I had to put the Santarins and the Invasion of Time in 5th place. Number 4. Yes, so in 4th place we have the Ice Warriors. Now, the Ice Warriors are technically a recurring villain because they have appeared 4 times in Classic Who and they've only appeared twice in Modern Who, so I still kind of class them as a recurring villain. And and of course the Ice Warriors' favourite story for them, for me, has got to go to the Seeds of Death. The Seeds of Death is just an incredible 6-parter, absolutely enjoyable. As you all know, the Ice Warriors do invade the moon for the planet Tiamat system, so they can literally try and control all the weather system around the Earth. And of course, they actually send the Doctor, Jamie and Zoe into a rocket to try and sort out the Tiamat base. But then, of course, the Doctor does come across the Ice Warriors. And of course, you do have that iconic shot with Petrotron running around corridors going, oh my word, like that. And he literally runs away over the other bit and he's literally there and you've got the mirrors section. And of course, he goes like that. I absolutely love the Seeds of Death. It's just an iconic story. I don't get why it's not many people's favourites, because some people say, oh, the Ice Warriors is my favourite story, and I'm thinking, the Ice Warriors? I get why, because it is their first debut story, but I absolutely love this story. I don't know what it is about it, but I just honestly flat out love it, and I really do have to put them in number 4. So in number 3, so now we are into the top 3. So in 3rd place, I had to put the Master for my 3rd favourite recurring villain. Now, the Master has made an appearance in Doctor Who since 1971, appearing a lot in the majority of the classic era, and then basically a majority of the modern era with a few stories. So, what is my favourite Master story? Well, when I was literally writing down this list, it was so tricky because there are so many Master stories I do enjoy, like Well Nothing Time and The Doctor Falls, even though people say, oh, that's just a Cyberman episode. Yeah, but it does have 2 versions of the Master, so you can actually say it is a Master episode. Or we've got Dark Water, or we have basically The Deadly Assassin, you've got Terror of the Autons, The Claws of Axos, The Daemons, you know, the Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, Castrovalva, Time Flight, the King's Demons, Planet of Fire. We have all of those. But my favourite story to have the Master in as the villain has got to go to the last ever story of classic Doctor Who, Survival. Man, oh man, I absolutely love this fantastic story from 1989. Now, Anthony Ainley's Master, some people think he's very, very campish because that's how he was basically told to play the Master, I think. But in this story, oh no, he's really menacing. Because the Master's basically been infected by the cheetah virus and he's kind of coming like a cheetah. So he ends up with the fangs and stuff. And of course, he starts manipulating events when he sees the Doctor. Then he goes, aha. But I never forget that cliffhanger. I never forget that cliffhanger to part 1 when the Doctor literally uses the umbrella, move out the hut where the Master's sitting. He goes, why, Doctor? What an unexpected pleasure. I really love that cliffhanger. And the look on the 7th Doctor's face is like, that is just so good. I absolutely love it. I never get it out of my head. Why, Doctor? What an unexpected pleasure. I would love to see a modern Doctor. Imagine Saturday One sitting down and, of course, the 15th Doctor coming across him and he just says that line. I don't think it will pay off like it does for Anthony Ainley. I'd honestly just love Survival. It's just a great story. I don't know what it is, but I just absolutely love it. And I really do love that cliffhanger, though. It was just brilliant. Number 2. So for second place, we have the Cybermen. Yeah, the Cybermen are really have a more recurring villain, considering they have appeared a majority out of both and classic. Yeah, okay. Some of the modern stories are pretty rubbish with them, because the Cybermen don't really know what to do, apart from Rise of the Cybermen, the Social of the Cybermen, and the Power of the Doctor. And then, of course, you got stories from Classic Who, where the Cybermen are honestly at their peak. And when I say at their peak, they're at their peak. And I'm going to have to say, my favourite story for the Cybermen has got to go to the Invasion. Man, oh man, this incredible, 6 to 8 parts. It's flat out amazing. I absolutely love it. Set in London present day. You have Unit. You've got basically Nicola Courtney's second appearance as Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, but at this time he's a colonel. And then, of course, you just have the Cybermen coming out of sewers. And you've got the Cyber Planner. Honestly, we have a human villain, aka Mr. Thorne. And he's working with the Cybermen. And, of course, basically got all that going on. But the Cybermen are just so good in this story. I really can't forget that fantastic scene in episode 4 where you kind of got the Cybermen literally popping out of the sewers. You've got the sewer covers kind of rolling around the streets of London. And then, of course, you've got Cybermen literally walking out the streets, onto the streets, walking down the cathedral. Boom, you got a classic story. A classic story, my favourite Cyberman story. I cannot get enough of it. It is just peak. Honestly, it's literally the Cybermen at their best. It is the peak Cyberman story. It is a masterpiece. Honestly, flat out a masterpiece. And I genuinely love it. And I just can't get enough of it. So, number 1. So, my favourite recurring villains has got to go to the Daleks. Yes, the Daleks, aka my second favourite Doctor Who villain, take the top spot. So you're probably wondering, what is my favourite story for the Daleks? Is it Genesis of the Daleks? Is it basically Dalek? Is it the Dalek invasion of Earth? Is it the power of the Daleks? Is it the evil of the Daleks? Is it Bagwell from Planet of the Ways? No. My favourite Dalek story has got to go to a story I cannot wait to see on Blu-ray in a couple of weeks. Remembrance of the Daleks. This has honestly knocked Genesis Daleks into second place for me. I've rewatched it recently on the DVDs, and I'm pointing up here because I've got my DVD collection all across there now. So all my DVDs on the top shelf, so I literally go to the DVDs if I want to watch a DVD, and I've got the Blu-rays down here and then a little bit at the side of me. But I just love this story, considering that I've literally just rewatched it for the last time on DVD before I watch it on Blu-ray over and over and over again. I absolutely love this story. It is the peak Dalek story. So I absolutely love it. Now, the story of the plot is we all have a Dalek civil war. We've got the Renegade Daleks and the Imperial Daleks, which is something we haven't seen in Doctor Who before. And of course, we have seen it a little bit, like in Victory of the Daleks, and of course in Revelation of the Daleks with Jodie Whittaker, but we haven't seen a proper Dalek war since this story. So the two factions of Daleks are fighting over the Time Lord device known as the End of Omega. So the Daleks want the ability to time travel, even though they have the ability to time travel, but they don't have it properly, not like the Time Lords. They want that. They really do. They just really want the ability to time travel through time and space like the Time Lords. But the Doctor tricks them because he makes them use the Hand of Omega to turn their sun into a supernova. And the Daleks literally have to go into being destroyed, quickly. The Imperial Daleks. I think some of them do survive. I know in Big Finish there's a story called Terra Norma. I need to give that a listen to, but haven't really listened to it yet. But I know that follows on from the events of the story, and there is one story that is on BBC Book, which I'm trying to get my hands on, which is not War of the Daleks, is the one before that one, and it kind of does follow more of the events of Remembrance of the Daleks. So yeah, I do love the Remembrance of the Daleks. It's just such a good story, it really is. So that is basically my 10 favourite Doctor Who stories from a recurring villain. So basically from Weaping Angels to the Daleks. Now there are some monsters that missed out, like the Silurians, and of course some other great Doctor Who monsters out there, but I had to say my top 10, my 10 favourites, and that's them. I mean, the stories on this list that should have been in this list. Honestly, next time if I do a top 20, there'll probably be more Dalek stories, more Cyberman stories, and more Master stories, but for one recurring villain to have one of my favourite stories mentioned for them, I have to say it's definitely this list, including Remembrance of the Daleks. I absolutely love it because it has really kicked Genesis of the Daleks out as my favourite Dalek story. It's really, Genesis was my number one, but Remembrance of the Daleks has literally gone, but I've moved it into second place, because normally when I did my big Dalek ranking video earlier this year, I said it was Genesis and then Remembrance, but Remembrance has really took it over and I just absolutely love it. So what are your favourite stories from a recurring Doctor Who villain? Now you can pick anything you want, if it's just a recurring villains from Modern Who, Classic Who, or just both like I've done. Let me know in the comments. Please do like, subscribe and share, and join me for awesome Doctor Who content. And of course, hopefully the Weeping Angel does not become an image of an angel from the photo and it's gone into your mind. So thank you for watching and have a cracking day, you amazing viewers and subscribers.